limiting views of his vision. Peter Guber is one of the people I respect most in the world. And you know what? He told me a long time ago about when he was first making the movie Rain Man. He was told that, no movie about some guy and his brother traveling across the country in a car is ever going to make it. You got to have action. In fact, 4 directors, including Steven Spielberg, quit the project. Many of them wanted to put all the sex and violence in it. And Peter said, absolutely not. This is a movie about a relationship. It's about the human spirit. He was totally unrelenting. He told everybody that it would win an Academy Award. And you know what? It won 4. See, those who succeed are those who trust their instincts. But, often the people that are bent on convincing you that you can't live your dream, they're really well-meaning. They don't want to see you get your hopes up only to see them dashed. After all, they're basing their views on reality, right? The challenge is that a person's reality is completely controlled by the information that you have available to you and that you focus upon. Yet those people who succeed in our society are those rare individuals who don't merely swallow the information that's fed to them, but instead they pursue quality information that will nourish their lives. They learn to trust their instincts. So often we hear we live in an information age, but it's not only the fact that information is available to us that shapes our lives, but which information we focus on. That's what determines how we feel and what we do. See, when millions of people learned that Hong Kong would soon revert to Chinese rule, the majority of people began to focus on their potential for loss, and what'd they do? They began to flee, and they took all their capital with them. By contrast, John Templeton had the same information, except he decided to focus instead on what was the potential for profit. He began to ask what companies the Chinese would need regardless of the environment. And you know what he did? He bought stocks from all the fleeing masses for pennies of their true value. What everyone else perceived to be a bad time, he perceived to be a phenomenally good time. It was a time of tremendous opportunity. And you know what? When all of a sudden people stopped fleeing and they began to think, well, maybe this is going to work out okay, and they started buying stocks again, sure enough, the emotional pendulum flew back. All of a sudden, people became extremely optimistic again, and John and his clients were rewarded for their immensely profitable decisions. They didn't go with the flow. They saw crisis as opportunity. In fact, in Chinese, you may know, the word crisis is composed of 2 characters. One of those represents danger, and the other one represents opportunity. So there are 2 paths. That of following the crowd, which clearly leads to destruction, pain, frustration. Standard education clearly gets us standard results. Thinking like the masses is a great way to make sure you never live your dream. And those who have the ability to go against the crowd, go against the general flow, are the people we often see as the geniuses. Again, whether it's the Columbus or the Copernicus or the Templetons or the Gubers, these are people that go completely against what others have thought, and that's why they've succeeded. Success is found in that hidden area that most people won't question, they won't look at. And the only way to change the quality of our lives then is to be willing to put ourselves out there and do something different. But why is this so difficult for us? See, some people are always talking about how they're doing things different, but they're not really doing things different. They're doing things like all their friends who are trying to do things different. They're modeling their friends. They're not really going with what they believe is right. They're not trusting their instincts. And one of the challenges and one of the reasons is we live in a society with so much uncertainty right now. It's increasing every day because, again, what's the information that's being fed to everyone? What are they constantly focusing on? Things that make them uncertain. They're looking to the past for answers. And the present is very different than the way it was in the past. People are not sure what to do. And there is a psychological principle that unless you understand it, you will be controlled by it. And that principle of human influence is known as social proof. Social proof is the single most potent way of influencing human behavior cross-culturally. I don't care if you're talking about in China, if you're talking about somebody who's living in the rainforest, or if you're talking to somebody living in LA. They all are influenced by social proof. Social proof simply means that when human beings are not sure, when they're uncertain about what should be done or what something means, they inevitably look to others to see how to feel and what to do about certain situations. Part of how we always learn. We've learned by modeling. The belief behind social proof is that if enough people believe something or if enough people do something, then it must be right. But no greater lie was ever told. That is not accurate. How many things can you think of that lots of people used to promote and do that you can see now are destructive? Hey, listen, 1 out of every 3 people in our country die of cancer. They're now saying that 80% of all cancer is directly related to lifestyle. 80%. 1 out of every 2 Americans dies of heart disease. Certainly what the masses are doing in terms of how they're eating and how they're thinking and how they're approaching health does not work. And those are just the top 2 diseases. 4,000 people dying a day of those 2 diseases alone. Just imagine that.
You just heard Tony say, by taking control of the information that comes into your mind, you can improve your health. Prioritizing your health is extremely important, especially in times like these. Not only do you want to be able to perform at your peak, but you want to stay healthy for your loved ones too. Health is extremely important to Tony. In fact, staying in great health is what has allowed him to be a peak performer throughout his life and show up for his loved ones each and every day. And you, too, can get the same high-quality, powerful, immune-boosting supplements that Tony uses every day to keep your health at its peak. Visit TonyRobbins.com/immunity to order Tony Robbins' ImmunoBoost C, a daily immune support. That's TonyRobbins.com/immunity.
When you were growing up, did people tell you, what is it, social proof that everybody smokes cigarettes to be cool? You know now how stupid it is. But back then you did what the crowd did, or did you? Maybe you were unique. Maybe that's why you and I are listening to this together. Maybe we've always been this way. Or maybe you drank, or back in the 60s when everybody did drugs. The psychology of the crowd is one of fear. It's a group of people who are running around trying to find some way to get out of pain. They want a simple solution, something that may not even be the real solution. They're looking for the source of the pain and they want to eliminate it. They're looking for somebody to blame. They're looking for an enemy to distract themselves from the fact that they don't have control of their own lives. And you don't ever want to get swept up in it. But it's so hard not to. Why? Because we're inundated with this information. It's everywhere you turn. It's on the radio. It's in the newspaper. It's online. Unless you say, I must guard my mind, this kind of information that can do nothing but destabilize you, make you uncertain, potentially create a sense of foreboding or fear, is going to be a part of your life. And you know what? If you manage to keep all the information out and you keep yourself in a good state, people around you, the crowd, wants to push you into their way of thinking. It's like when they see somebody is thinking in a different way or a unique way, there must be something wrong with them. It's like they must be eradicated. We've seen this all the time. Human beings seem to have this upset with people that are different. I guess some people are afraid that if somebody else is different and they're happy, then maybe that makes them question whether or not they're doing the right thing in their lives. We don't want to allow that to happen to us. I know when I was growing up, I was always so different. I remember years ago when I was going back to my high school reunion, and on my way going up there, I literally regressed back to high school. I felt like emotionally like I was back then, with a lack of confidence like I'd not had in years. I was feeling kind of down, almost to the level of depressed.